and welcome to Our Time. He's been a teacher, musician, sound engineer, and he's been part of the South Australian blues music scene with his band Hoi Hoi! Exclamation mark. Hello, Frank Lang.
Thanks for the exclamation mark. People leave it out.
Well, I remember that it's there.
Good.
Maybe we should talk about why it's called Hoi Hoi to start with, exclamation mark.
Well, I thought I've got to name a band. I've got to name my band because I put that together. And I thought to myself I'd listen to the Little Feat album. They had a track called Hoi!, exclamation mark. I thought, that's an exclamation. It's not a name, it's not a word. And, you know, you could get guttural with it. Hoi Hoi. That's exactly right. And so I thought it's a good name. A friend said that's a horrible name, but then I've had up to thousands of people going, Hoi Hoi! Hoi Hoi.
Right, yeah, and what's in a name? But do they put the exclamation mark though?
It works.
Well, we should explain who you are then and why we're talking. So Hoi Hoi is your band, as you explained.
Yes.
But it also means other things too, doesn't it?
Well, I've wondered what it means in Philippine or Indian, but I'm not sure. What are you getting at?
Well, there are different meanings for simple words like that all around the world.
That's right.
I don't know what they are, but I know you've got a couple of other explanations.
The Simpsons in Czechoslovakia, and I think Mr. Burns always says Hoi Hoi when he answers the telephone, but that's about all I know.
Doesn't matter. I mean, what's in the name of a band?
Exactly.
What was in the name of the Beatles spelled incorrectly?
Yes.
And made it correct.
Very good.
And all those other bands. When did you start playing?
Well, at high school, a guy called Lester Volquist who used to play at Catacombs. He was a folk artist.
Catacombs, for those who aren't as old as we are, Catacombs was sort of an underground club, I suppose.
Folk club, yeah.
Folk club, yeah, where people sat around and did a lot of that to music.
Well,
drinking coffee, I might say.
Yeah, with little bottles under the table.
No, they wouldn't have done that.
No, that never happened, no. But Lester taught me chords. You know, that was his thing that he did in high school during lunchtime. That's when I started playing.
Well, you're known for playing bass.
That's right.
Do you play guitar as well?
No, I play with great guitarists. I've played with a lot. I've jammed with George Thorogood, if I can brag, for a 45-minute bracket. And the only song I got wrong was the Johnny Cash song. It only had 2 chords.
Oh, right.
Blues has the 3rd chord.
Right.
I kept going for it, but that was a highlight of my career.
Well, one of the things I guess that we should explain is what is blues music?
What is blues music? In its form, it's a 12-bar form, not strictly. Some of the early practitioners of the music kept their own time. John Freeman says sometimes they just played 2 bars or 3. Lightnin' Hopkins famously said to some of the bands that were backing him, Lightnin' Hopkins change when Lightnin' Hopkins want to change. Right. So you follow me, you just change when I change.
Right, so it's not a dum 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 dum.
It's a 1-4-5 format for the musicians out there.
Right.
So A, D, E, and then backwards.
And then have a singer that sort of moves carelessly amongst the notes.
Well, the first line is repeated on the A and the D, for instance, and the turnaround is the other chord, and that's usually a line that wraps up the first repeated 2 lines.
Right.
So that's the blues.
That's the blues. But the blues are different all over the world. Why is that?
Well,
I mean, the motive behind, if you like, singing the blues or playing the blues is the same, I think, the world over, but there are different styles that have sort of crept in.
Well, you've got your Delta blues, the Mississippi Delta.
Mm-hmm. That everyone, I guess, would associate with the blues, really.
Well, they do, especially the early music, and might I add that the early music was recorded on a wire tape recorder.
Yes.
So it's very hard for people to listen to sometimes because they think, that man sounds like a Tweety bird, and his guitar sounds like a ukulele. Slow it down a notch, his voice takes on timbre, is that correct word?
Or timbre.
And his guitar starts to sound like a guitar, not a ukulele.
Is that where the blues started, or is it a an African black movement?
Well, it is. The slaves had various tricks. For instance, in the cotton fields, they'd often have what was called the field holler. And the guy on the horse with the gun, making sure they didn't want to escape, didn't know what they were singing about. But one of the slaves might be singing, "I'm going on the underground train, I'm going up to Chicago." And sometimes they had maps drawn on their blankets so that they could actually escape their slavery.
Right.
And there were safe houses between the South
along the way
and Chicago. Yeah, so there's a lot of history to it. So buy your books.
Well, that's true.
Buy my book.
Buy your book, and we'll talk about that towards the end of the program. But here in South Australia, and probably Australia-wide, but because we're here in South Australia at the moment, you believe there's sort of a different take on the blues.
I do. Of the 20 people that I've interviewed, only one said, no, there's an Australian blues, but not a South Australian. Now, our nearest audiences, once we start to rise above get above it, is Melbourne or Sydney or Ballarat. There's populations, but they don't want to know about Adelaide, although Don Morrison, who you've interviewed, beautiful interview, and Don Morrison is still touring Melbourne on the legacy of his band, the Sensational Bodgies from 1980. There is, I think, because of that distance, the people that interpret the blues in South Australia that was interpreted by Australia, that was interpreted by the English, that was being played to the soldiers after World War II. So you see the interpretation follows the line. The immigrants, Maori Berg, I might add, from Finland. I used to do sound for his band, Mickey Finn. I used to wonder, why does he sound just that little bit different to anything I've heard? Well, he'd go fishing with his uncle on the lake. When they were fishing, not catching, he would his uncle would pull out a harmonica, put it in the frame, the wire frame, and play and sing Finnish folk songs. So they've got a tonality.
Did it get the fish?
I doubt it.
It's interesting though, isn't it, how people do learn these things as well, and how that's passed on through generations of, this is a song I learnt when I was a child. I mean, I remember the songs that I learned as a child.
Yep.
And I suppose that's our legacy. Now, when people have immigrated into this country, they've brought that legacy with them.
That's the point of the blues and the point of the blues in South Australia.
Okay, so you just mentioned briefly a minute ago, people I've interviewed. Why have you been interviewing people, or musicians, more to the point?
Over the years, like I started playing in sort of high school, I suppose, 76. And fairly soon I realised there were great guitar players, and I just bass will do, and eventually...
It's only 4 strings to worry about.
That's the point of it, it's so easy. And
don't tell people that, they won't call you a musician. You'll be replaced by drummers.
You're a bass player. Yeah. I've lost my drift.
That's quite all right. We often lose our drift. No, it's more about the fact that we were talking about the fact you've interviewed all these people, and why have you been interviewing people who are musicians?
From then till now, I've come across these people in various forms. Dave Pearce, who was the manager of the Semaphore Workers Club, started the place, had blues ethics. Some of the bands went into rock and roll, but he only had the good bands there. So, people would come there. He said, Frank, you don't need to pull the crowd. That's our job, the way we present the venue. And you've got guys like Nick Charles, who travels internationally, out of Melbourne, but he lived in South Australia for 10 years. We've got, obviously Chris Finnan, all of the people that I've played with. Now, there's plenty that I haven't interviewed, but I've got humorous stories, I've got factual things, I've got half a dozen people. I don't know what the blues is. Mate, you're playing blues. But that's from listening, and what I call the spark. The spark chapter is going to be when you were young. When was the moment that you thought, that's for me?
That's
when
my
did
music.
the hackles rise on your back?
Yeah, that's my... Well, yes, when did you go prickly? Yes.
Exactly.
When did you get that excited feeling inside that feels like you want to explode?
And play a form of music that is not mainstream.
Yep. Do you think it's got has it got an age limit? Has it drifted into a younger demographic?
It has. At the moment, there's a place called Memphis Slim's Blues Room. Downstairs, health and safety, forget it. But there's young people playing there, and there are people going there, and the girls get up and dance. Well,
the good thing is, no matter what age you are, you can still appreciate the music. But the point is, you've been writing a book for some time.
5 years.
Yeah, well, it takes a while, but especially when you're collecting that information from other people.
Well, I just recorded it on a Zoom recorder. I had a lovely friend who transcribed it. Then I looked at it, and there's 20 pages. Oh, well, that's too much. Chop, 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 chop. Mark Thompson, who wrote the book Rare Trades and Men's Sheds, came down and helped me try to figure it out.
Bit of editing.
Yeah, there's more editing to be done, but
yes,
I've got plans.
I mean, collecting all of that information. But speaking of collecting information, we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back with a lot more from Frank Lang as we talk about the blues. We'll be back in a tick. And welcome back to Our Time. Our guest is Frank Lang, and we've been talking about Frank's band called Hoi Hoi!
Exclamation mark.
I thought I did that very well. I can't remember who did the exclamation marks to make that a funny gag thing.
I don't know, but
I think it was somebody like Danny Kaye or somebody like that.
Oh, Danny Kaye.
However...
Roman scandals.
There you go. See, we must be old.
I am.
Just tell me, how long did you play with Hoi Hoi?
Well, I started in 1988, and then that's gone for about 38 years now.
And then you've had a final show?
Well, we had the farewell show.
A farewell show to start with, but we should explain that was because...
Maury Berg's hand had a tremor, and about 6 months after that tremor, he admitted that he couldn't do an upstroke.
And he was playing...
lead guitar. He's the lead guitarist, the Finnish. And David Small had chronic arthritis. His fingers were like that. I said, look, I just have to wrap it up for the boys. Maury was a bit angry, but I said, no, farewell, let's call it quits for you guys.
Well, we've got some vision here of just a little bit of the band playing with you singing, I think.
Yeah, this is the final show, but there's only 3 of us on the stage.
Okay, and we're seeing it there. And there you are playing bass so beautifully lit in blue.
Yeah, stage lighting. It's a dying art.
What is?
Stage lighting.
Well, it'd be nice if they lit you from the front so you could see your face.
Yeah, they didn't have front lights. I used to know a guy called Frank Lang with an E. He was a great lighting guy. He did Mickey Finn, and he didn't flash the lights for flashing the light.
Yes, for the sake of, makes no sense.
The lights were part of the show. I love him. He's passed away.
Well, that's very much a theatrical thing.
Yeah. The Stevie Ray Vaughan show at Festival Theatre was lit with stage lights.
Makes a big difference when you can see the players and how well their fingers are working to whatever they're doing.
Big difference.
Now, so with this, you actually recorded this,
Yes.
and this is a DVD of the final show?
The final show.
With, if I put it up the right way, it would be good. No, that's the right way. With Dave Small, Dave Blight, Trapper, Frank Lang, Chris Finnan, who I would love to interview, John Freeman, Andy Spy, Steve Smith, Don Morrison, Murray Berg, and Geoff Bateman.
Headband. I can name all the bands they were famous for.
Oh, of course you can.
They've all been in...
I thought you were commenting on the fact I was actually reading that without glasses, which I'm very proud of myself.
You should be.
Yes, I should be. And that's available if people hop on.
Who's got a DVD player? They're rare.
They are, but our age group often still have the old technology.
They do.
But great to preserve something like that, because so much has been lost over the years, and new people coming to the business, it's great to be able to see those who have gone before.
Look, it's rough around the edges, but, you know, each person did like a 3-song segment. Chris Finnan wrote the Hoi Hoi song, and he said, Frank, I forgot to mention Maori. You know, these are all the people on this that played in Hoi Hoi over the years.
Because you can name drop so many of the people, again, those who you've interviewed for the book. How long do you reckon it's going to take you to finish the book?
I'm hoping within 8 months.
Okay.
So right then, I just quickly went between 6 and 12. 8's near enough. I'm working hard on it.
So we're talking like March next year or something?
Yes. I'll bring it in.
Yes. Well, it's good because, you know, these things are historical. Apart from anything else, they're historical. And when you're looking back to see who did what, when, what did they invent, how did they make it happen, music is such an important thing in all of our lives, and we don't realise how important it actually is.
Well, part of the book, a very small part, is that I tried to relate every story, every breakout is related to a period. So, for instance, the start of the book is Friday night, Rowley Park. Saturday night, that's right. Saturday afternoon, footy. Sunday morning, church. What else was there? Hardly anything but music.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
And in fact, the radio and early TV.
That's right.
But early TV didn't really feature much of this style of music. It tended to go for the youth music rather than...
It always has.
Well, true, but rather than this music that generally is appreciated live more than any other way.
Yeah, crowds can go crazy if you play the right songs. That one that was just on, Mercury Blues, that's a David Lindley song. The dance floor just fills. Not that it's not full before then, but to Mercury Blues, people just go nuts.
There's something, though, about music like that that just gets you... And you can't help your body but doing that.
Like Ry Cooder said, bop till you drop.
Bop till you drop, I like that.
Yeah.
So after you finish the book, what's the next thing? Because there's always got to be a next thing.
Pensioner village.
No, creatively. There's always got to be another thing creatively.
Well, the book will do. I think I'm self-publishing, and that'll take a bit of effort to get it around there. I'm going to do all the blues clubs in Australia. I'm hoping that I might be able to include it on the syllabus as a primer for young people, for kids in music courses that really don't know about, you know, my chapter. You need to understand the fine points, and everybody has a shot at that. Everybody.
So everyone you've interviewed, have they all contributed to that?
They've all, and that's where I'm going to cut their breakout, and that's going to go with a photo.
Right.
So it's not going to be this interview, that interview, the other interview. It'll be a photo, like, you know, the first letter in the Bible, ornate, but there'll just be straight photos of people, and then their impression of what they learnt to understand.
Right. I think the sad thing in this country, there's not a lot of professional musicians, particularly in these areas. You know, you sort of have to have a day job to practice your passion.
You do.
At night. And as you said, it gets to the point in life where if you're married, the wife is saying, or the partner's saying, is it me or is it the music?
And often the guitar gets put under the bed, sadly. And that's why I'm a firm believer of anything, anybody out there, support mid-career people that have already, you know, not put the guitar under the bed. They're still out there playing. And there's a lot of them. Don Morrison's getting on. Chris Finnan is my age. And there's the oldies, but then there's the young ones. And if I can get a book into school music rooms, that'd be lovely.
Well, interesting enough, we've mentioned quite a few names. You might like to Google them to just actually find out who they are and what they've contributed to the musical industry, because certainly talking people like Don Morrison, the fact that he made and makes his own guitars out of all sorts of odd things.
Yep, resonator guitars.
Yep. And that he's had such an interesting career, but I've read his book, and in his book he talks about just how tough it was in the early days of his career to actually even make a living, sleeping in the backs of cars and travelling at odd places at odd times with
He's
odd
still
people.
sleeping in the back of his car when he goes to Melbourne. If only the South Australian music industry supported him with petrol and accommodation, he'd get back cash like they take cash out from the state. So, wake up.
Yeah, well, anyone that's passionate about music, you really just need to keep going and hope for the best, I suppose. Hope for the best that you can actually make a go of it.
South Australian music bands have not embraced management until they get right up to the top.
Because we were talking the other day about bands like the Easy Beats, for example, who emigrated to Elizabeth, and that was the beginning ground for them. How many more are there?
They got together. Well, you know, these people have their stories, and if you read them, which I'm hoping people will do from the book, the title, by the way, is Something in the Water, South Australian Blues Music. You know, I'm hoping that they can sort of, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I know that. I feel that. Wow, what was that type of music about?
That's a very valid point. I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel this is my calling.
That's the chapter.
Fantastic. Look, we're going to take another short break and we'll be back to talk with Frank. Just remind you about the book and the Hoi Hoi band, and we'll be back with Frank in just a moment. Frank Lang's been my guest on Our Time this time. Frank, we've talked a lot about musicians, but we haven't talked about the fact that although you play bass, you're also the singer, or were the singer with the group.
Well, the story is simple. A lot of the lead singers in Adelaide, I thought, I can do better than that. Previously to that, in the Bodgies, I got to sing 2 songs, and Don did somersaults. Other bands I was in, I got to do 2 songs.
You meant somersaults on the guitar?
Somersaults.
With the music?
Physical.
Oh, literally somersaults?
Yeah. I was used to go, Don, I'm singing a song.
Yes.
How can you do that?
Don't upstage me, how dare you?
Bad news. But, yeah, so...
But with the singing, because that's got to come out of your soul as well, doesn't it?
You can have a good shout sometimes, and Greg Baker would say, Frank, don't shout, find your voice. So I learnt. It's always, learning.
Do you still sing around the house?
Oh, yes, but
Do you cough around the house?
My son shuts me up.
Oh,
Dad, don't sing. All right, son, I can do it on the stage, but I can't do it around the house.
Yeah, not fair, not fair. You actually have to keep doing it so you keep what you've got.
Exactly.
Like exercising any muscle, I guess.
Exactly.
Frank, it's been lovely talking to you, because I think we don't often talk about these sorts of genres of music that have made the world sing, really, because it's music that you can tap along to, hum along to, because it's simple, but it's also telling a story, as all songs basically do. But if you get the story right, with the right sounds in your voice and the right sort of story ability to pass it on.
It searches for your soul. When it finds it, you're in trouble, because you fall in love with this genre that is not mainstream, but beautiful.
And the lyrics are as well, usually.
They can be about everything.
Well, they can, particularly if it came from sort of the Black America area, particularly from the clubs over there. You've just got to be very careful when you're singing songs like Shake Your Tail Feather as to what it really means.
Exactly. The double entendre?
Yes. That have gone into mainstream music and completely misunderstood what the lyric means.
Well, that was the point, because Black Americans very often wanted to take the mickey out of white people when they asked certain questions, and told lies to make money.
Well, the DVD is available. The book will be available soon. Sorry, there you are. With all those fabulous people who are really legends in their own DVD in this particular copy. I hope you have great success and pass on all of those things that you've enjoyed in life to the next generation.
Thank you, Malcolm.
It's been a joy chatting, because we've been chatting beside this as well, and we share common things.
We do.
Yes, we do. So it's time for us to say goodbye. So thank you so much for joining us here on Ad Time. So until next time on Ad Time, keep yourself nice till then. Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.